Hello. Today I'm going to tie for you a red quill parachute. It's a little bit of a throwback. I'm going to use a hackle stem for an abdomen, but it is a parachute fly, so that's kind of a modern design. I followed a few links, did some research, and this is one of the bugs I think that this pattern imitates. We're going to tie this one on a size 16 fulling mill 50/50 dry fly hook. I'm going to use some fibers off of this Coq De Leon hackle for its tail. This is a brown hackle that I'm going to strip and use the stem. And I don't know if I can use the word quill interchangeably, but we'll talk about that. Polypropylene yarn in gray for a post. And I have this light gray barred Grizzly hackle cape, and it makes a good hackle for these flies. A little superfine dubbing for around the thorax, and we'll tie it together with perfect hatch 8/0 pailed on thread. So we have the hook and the vise, leave a little room up front, and work our way to the back. So slice off the excess. And I haven't said this in a while, but you'll see me come in with both hands while I'm tying. I'm left-handed, but I can use right-handed scissors, and whatever seems convenient or is more within reach is how I'll snip off the butt sections or excess materials. So there's a bundle of those fibers from the Coq De Leon hackle, and that's from a cape, so those fibers are a little thinner. I use a few more, and I think I talked about this in other videos as well. I make the tail and the hackle and everything a little bigger. It just seems more proportional to me. I don't like a tiny fly on a big hook. Although this one ends up a little short. Maybe if I was going to do this again, I'd do it on a maybe a 1X long shanked dry fly hook and get a little more of that quill in there. So I don't. There again, I'm using that term interchangeably. I don't know if that's true, if that's accurate, but it's a hackle stem. We've stripped the fibers back, and one thing interesting, and I'll point it out here soon. The This hackle stem goes from that light reddish brown to a darker gray, almost a black. And it shows up when you're wrapping it. It makes like a two-tone fly, and I think it's pretty neat. It's got a little bit of a, um, I guess, a segmented look to it as well. So I've got a level body. I've snipped off the excess. I'll throw a half hitch in here, one finger half hitch, and put the thread out of the way. Now I'm going to wrap this, and this is an older hackle cape, so these things are a little brittle. It didn't really split too bad when I wrapped it, but I'm going to wrap it over head cement, and then I'm going to coat it with head cement as well. And I don't know, for all I know, I haven't done the physics or the math on it. It may make it sink, but that's not been my experience. I'm just being sarcastic. So here we are, wrapping in the conventional direction. There's no need to go backwards on this or anything, and we're getting that nice segmented abdomen, and you can see the darker part of the stem being used now, and I don't know, kind of like the looks of that. I was watching AK Best tie flies, and he does a lot of stuff, or at least in the video I was watching, he did a lot of stuff with hackle stems, and I don't know, if you're going to follow somebody, he's probably one of the guys out there that you'd want to mimic or imitate. And he seems to, he certainly knows what he's talking about. So we have the end of that stem wrap down, and I'll do a little primping, make sure everything's in the right place. And here, and I'm calling it head cement, and there again, I'll do that interchangeably. But this is Sally Hansen's Hard as Nails. And we'll get a nice coat of that on there. Make sure it's covered all the way around. Alright, so we like the looks of that, and we'll fade away and give it about a couple minutes to dry. You can see it kind of shrunk in there a little bit. And we'll tie in our post. I guess another method would have been to tie the post in first, but I like to tie the post now in this, tie them in the middle, 3 or 4 wraps across, and then start right into posting wraps. Sometimes I do a wrap in each direction at the bottom to give it a little stability. but I'm going to add super glue to this one, so I'm not sure it needs anything extra. I'll wrap up, and this is kind of just pass the bobbin around, hanging onto the post. That was another thing I'm kind of working on. That I'm not liking the looks of the flies when I go too high when I'm making posts. Now, a couple of my videos and a couple of my flies, I end up with too high of a post. And you're guessing there a little bit. It kind of has to do with how big you make the thorax as well. How much of that post is going to be kind of hidden by the thorax. So this is not head cement on the bodkin. That's actually super glue. There's something I discovered there too. That super glue's been in the bottle and been around here for a couple of months. It doesn't harden or dry as quick as it did when I first brought it home. So I don't know if the solvents evaporate out and you end up with more resin and it just takes longer to dry. It's good if you give it a minute, but it is taking longer to dry now than it did when I brought it home. So there we are, wrapping the post all the way up. Put the hackle in, tied it to the hook, bent it, wrapped it up the post, and we're going to start wrapping the hackle from the top down and snip off the excess there. And I didn't reach by default for a saddle hackle this time. I just grabbed that, and I like the looks and the color of the hackle I'm using, and it was a neck hackle, so it's a little shorter. The saddles tend to kind of droop and get in the way, and I think you could snip it off shorter, but then you're kind of wasting a little bit or something. But in this case, I just had the color I wanted, and we talked about this in one of the videos too. I mean, you could do more to match the colors. Maybe this should have been a reddish brown color hackle that I'm going to use, but to be honest, I like the looks, and I talked about the Grizzly hackles and the mottled barred look adds kind of a lifelike appearance, a little bit of movement. Maybe it imitates movement. So we took a look with the Superfine dubbing. We made our little bullet-shaped thorax. Everything's covered. I'm going to move the hook in the vise. And we got back in there. I started angling it out a little bit too. I saw a guy do that, and to be honest, it makes sense. It's not going to slide out to the end of the post and want to fall off. The thread's not going to slide out to the end of the post and want to fall off. So I haphazardly came in with a dab of, it's a thicker bottle of head cement that I have, and I want to wrap into that. And this was something one of the viewers pointed out. They said instead of doing this little trick I started doing by tying off the thread with half hitches, or tying off the parachute with half hitches, that I could just put a little super glue there and I don't even need a knot or a whip finish or anything. But this combination, I think, is it's where I landed for now. Not that anybody's doing this the right way or the wrong way. It's just this is kind of what looked good to me. So we'll get about 4 turns of hackle on there, and I've got plenty of hackle to hold up and back. And then this way I can kind of sneak a couple of thread wraps, actually 3 thread wraps behind below those fibers down towards the thorax. It won't make too wide of a path there. And then I'm going to do this little trick where I come up from the bottom with the half hitch tool. And if I wrap that around the half hitch and do my half hitch in the right direction, the thread coming from the post will lay on top of the hook, which is desirable to me. So I've kind of wrapped that half hitch tool in the opposite direction because I'm coming off the post from the back. So I got a good double half hitch in there, and I'm going to color this red and put a red head on this fly. And basically, and now I don't think it matters which direction you use the half hitch tool. I'm going to put a couple of double half hitches in there, and is that a real word? Double half hitch? Sounds like there should be math involved. That's some kind of algebra. So the interesting thing there is that the marker got a little sticky, and it wasn't sliding off the half hitch tool as easily as it should have. So there, we put a few more of the doubles in there, Got them tight. Nice triple at the end. And that should be enough of a red head to give it. I don't know. That picture doesn't do it justice, but some of them had red eyes. And as for what bug that is, I don't know. I'm not an entomologist. I was doing research on the dun patterns and different things, and they'll lead you all over the place. There are experts out there that know that stuff. It's not me. I'm trying to match the bugs in front of me with, maybe an educated guess, but not getting all scientific about it. So I like to cut my wing posts at a little bit of an angle and soften the edges. And that's about it. The fly's done. I'm going to come back. On other flies, I've reached in around the post and put a little cement in there, but I don't think I need to. I wrapped into some now on this one. So we'll center that, and I'll get my bodkin and some Sally Hansen's. And before we do that, I don't know if you can see. You can definitely see it on the screen. There's a couple of fibers that were trapped and sticking straight up, and we just have to get those out of there. I don't think they would have made a difference at all, but it's amazing what bothers us. So here we are with the needle and a little Sally Hansen's. I'll touch it on kind of each side, and it'll soak in a little bit. I like the looks of that that hackle stem wrapped as an abdomen, and everything else looks good proportionally and whatever to me. And I don't know, I'm going to put a few of these in my box with the other ones, and here I think I got carried away. Now I made a rounded post. And we'll quit while we're ahead so we don't end up with no wing, and call it done. So I hope this helps you out, and you put a few in your box and you catch some fish with them. If you hung around to the end, you want to learn more about me, look me up on Amazon. And until next time, be safe.